Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing very, very well. So today I will be reviewing two movies that I watched recently in the theater, and we'll be eating some cheesecake while I ramble. I'll be giving you a slice too. So, there's your slice. Here, let me get a napkin. Here's your slice of cheesecake. I hope you like it. So let's start. So, the first movie I went to see was Obsession. The cheesecake tastes alright. I think it has a slight taste of honey. But anyway, so I went to see Obsession, the movie. And I really liked it. I really did. It's about a young man that gets obsessed with a lady that's her coworker at a music store, I believe. And since he's too afraid to speak his feelings, he decides to buy a willow bark, a magical willow bark that would grant him this wish of her, loving him more than anything. And so it becomes really creepy, but I like the complexity of it. Even when we've heard this story before, they present it in a very original way that you don't get bored. And I like that these situations, even when there's a magical and fantasy element in this, which is the willow bark, the monkey paw, you can still imagine these things happening in real life. So I would say that the cautionary tale is to be careful for what you wish for, especially if it's coming from a place of egoism. Maybe this person could have asked, I would like to become someone that this person could love back. Maybe just tell him tell her sorry, how he really felt about her. And you see that none of the characters would speak their feelings because they were too afraid of getting rejected. So his best friend, this girl called Sarah, she was also in love with, she was in love with him. But, you know, she would tell him that Nikki, the girl he was obsessed with, was only going to friend zone him. And in my opinion, you can never trust someone that is in love with another person, because they're not gonna tell you the truth. They're just gonna try and be together with the person that they're in love with. So, and at the same time, this other guy that was in love with Nikki, the girl that ends up becoming obsessed with the main character, I don't remember his name. Bear was his name. You couldn't trust him either, because he also had a thing for this lady. But I think that deep inside, nobody really loved anyone. They just wanted each other. Because if you really love someone, you don't want them to be unhappy, or you don't want them to do something that they don't want to. And this guy, you know, he didn't care about how much Nikki was suffering. He just kept going. You know, even when he was miserable and she was miserable. So it makes you wonder, you know, so I thought the acting was great, especially from Inde Navarrete, and the one that plays the main character. He was great too. And the music was great. A lot of indie bands, like Current Choice. Great soundtrack. And just the atmosphere that they create in the movie is gorgeous. And you end up thinking about the characters after you watch it. I would say it's a great movie. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best horror movie I've ever seen, but I think it's a great movie, and it's remarkable that it was done by a YouTuber. So I think, you know, they definitely have to invest in young talent. So I would recommend you to go watch it. It's scary, it's funny, and it is complex. And there are lots of metaphors. It's great. I think you will enjoy it. The cheesecake makes very nice sounds. So another movie I went to watch, actually 2 days ago, was Backrooms, which was also done by a YouTuber. Directed and co-written by a YouTuber. This movie, I have mixed feelings for this movie. It's not like, it didn't feel like the other one where you could feel the freshness of the movie. I don't know how to explain it. While it wasn't a completely original concept or idea, you could see that, that it was a fresh take on horror movies. But with Backrooms, you could sense that it was done by a traditional studio, I mean, it's A24. But I love A24 movies, but I don't know. It just didn't seem as fresh as the other one. I don't know how to explain it. And, I love liminal spaces. And some things that you see on TikTok or YouTube are just so beautiful. Some of them are scary, but some liminal spaces make you want to get lost in them and just stay there. They give you a sense of comfort that is difficult to explain. So I would have loved that this had been portrayed in the movie if they had shown the beauty of the liminal spaces. But they did not. I think they tried to make it a psychological horror movie. And it wasn't an original movie at all. The actors were Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsby. I think that's how it's pronounced. So they perform very well. They're great actors. But the characters' stories are so boring. And I think the overall pace of the movie is very slow. It will be easy for you to sleep. I caught myself sleeping a few times throughout the film. I didn't like that they added a monster, because then it just looks like any other horror film out there where there's a monster or a puppet or a demonic figure or whatever. So you just can't take it seriously. But they could have explored liminal spaces a lot more, but I like to see the liminal spaces. I like that at the end of the movie you do develop some kind of kinophobia, like fear of empty spaces. It happened to me a little bit. Yeah, I liked that, and I loved the scene with the Christmas tree, and I loved that it was filmed with an old camera. That was beautiful. So I gave it 2 stars for that, but overall I did not like it, and I don't know if I would watch it again. I wish I had been more curious about the company that made the Backrooms, about how they came to be, but at some point you just wanted the movie to end. I don't know why. And I was thinking about just stepping out of the movie theater. I don't know why, but I did make it till the end of the film. The ending was kind of interesting. I guess when you don't have a lot to say with the narration, when it's difficult for you to tell a story, then you resort to ambiguous and psychologically scary elements. But I don't know, it just seemed to me that it could have been written better and they could have explored liminal spaces a lot more. But I wouldn't say it's an awful film. I just think it could have been better and it could have been a little bit more interesting. Maybe if they hadn't placed that pirate, that monster, in the last part of the film, maybe it could have been better. But a lot of people seem to enjoy it, which is great. And some people say that it's very similar to a movie called The Cube. Have you seen that movie? I looked it up and it's from 1969, if I remember correctly. I mean, I guess it'd be interesting to watch that film. I don't know. I would recommend Obsession. I think that's a good movie. Interesting, entertaining, funny, scary. There's only one gore-ish scene, but the rest is okay, just very creepy. And there's a lot of shouting too, but it's funny and scary. I mean, it's only natural if you decide to be with somebody that you know doesn't love you back. You're gonna have a bad time. But that would be, your own selfishness. So, yeah, so Backrooms, maybe you will like it if you're into psychological horror and David Lynch kind of movies. But I would say David Lynch movies are much more interesting. But I don't know. But I think this was the director's first film, and I think it's a good debut. So, yeah. So both movies were okay. But anyway, I hope you'll be well. And if you have seen Obsession or Backrooms, please let me know what you think of them. But anyway, bye. I hope you'll be well. Always.